The Vice Admiralty Court Act, the fifth and final of the Townshend Acts, July 6, 1768. Present, the King's most excellent Majesty in Council. Whereas there was this day read at the board a representation from the Lords Commissioners of His Majesty's Treasury dated the 2nd of this instant in the words following, viz. We, the Commissioners of Your Majesty's Treasury, beg leave humbly to represent to Your Majesty that whereas by an act passed in the last session of the last Parliament, entitled An Act for the More Easy and Effectual Recovery of the Penalties and Forfeitures inflicted by the Acts of Parliament relating to the trade or revenues of the British colonies and plantations in America, it is enacted that from and after the 1st day of September 1768, all forfeitures and penalties inflicted by any act or acts of Parliament relating to the trade or revenues of the British colonies or plantations in America may be prosecuted, sued for, and recovered in any court of Vice Admiralty appointed or to be appointed, and which shall have jurisdiction within the colony, plantation, or place where the cause of such prosecution or suit shall have arisen, and that in all cases where any prosecution or suit shall be commenced and determined for any penalty or forfeiture inflicted by any such act or acts of Parliament in any court of admiralty in the respective colony or plantation where the offense shall be committed, either party who shall think himself aggrieved by such determination may appeal from such determination to any court of Vice Admiralty appointed or to be appointed, and which shall have jurisdiction within such colony or plantation or place. And whereas it will greatly contribute to the due collection of Your Majesty's revenue, and to the prevention and punishment of frauds committed against the same, and will likewise tend to the more speedy and effectual administration of justice within the said colonies and plantations, and be agreeable to the intention of the legislature in passing the said act, that a sufficient number of such courts of Vice Admiralty be constituted and established at proper and convenient places within the said colonies and plantations. We humbly submit to Your Majesty whether it may not be expedient and necessary for the purposes above mentioned to revoke the commission appointing one only court Vice Admiralty over all America, and in lieu thereof to establish 4 other courts of Vice Admiralty, the first at Halifax in the province of Nova Scotia, the second at Boston in the province of New England, the third at Philadelphia in the colony of Pennsylvania, and the fourth in Charlestown in the colony of South Carolina. The said courts to have jurisdiction within certain districts to be allotted to them respectively by Your Majesty, and we humbly lay before Your Majesty the enclosed plan of districts proper to be allotted to the said courts, which we submit to Your Majesty's consideration, each of the judges of the said courts respectively to be allowed such salary as Your Majesty shall think proper to be paid in the first place out of Your Majesty's moiety of the money arising from any penalties and forfeitures to be levied within the said colonies and plantations, and if this fund shall not be sufficient, out of the money arising from the sale of old naval stores, and the said judges to be expressly enjoined in their commissions upon pain of losing their offices not to take any fee or gratuity whatsoever for any judgment given or business done in their respective courts. His Majesty, taking the same into his royal consideration, is pleased with the advice of his Privy Council to approve thereof, and accordingly to order as it is hereby ordered that a commission be passed under the Great Seal authorizing the Lords Commissioners of the Admiralty to revoke the commission appointing one only court of Vice Admiralty over all America, and empowering them in the lieu thereof to establish 4 other courts of Vice Admiralty, the first at Halifax in the province of Nova Scotia, the second at Boston in the province of New England, the third at Philadelphia in the colony of Pennsylvania, and the fourth at Charlestown in the colony of South Carolina, as proposed by the aforegoing representation of the Lords Commissioners of His Majesty's Treasury, and the plan of districts to be allotted to such courts hereunto annexed. And the Right Honorable the Earl of Hillsborough, one of His Majesty's principal secretaries of state, is to cause a warrant to be prepared for His Majesty's royal signature in order to pass such commission under the Great Seal accordingly.